The Supreme Court has dismissed the application by Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party sought to remove Hope Uzodinma from office as governor of Imo State. Emeka prayed the court to give a consequential order to the Independent National Electoral Commission to issue a certificate of return to him as the validly elected governor of Imo State in the 2019 election. Justice Tijani Abubakar, who read the judgment, held that the application was not only frivolous and vexatious, but lacked merit. Politicians are die-hard optimists. Paul, let me start from you. Emeka Ihedioha did not participate in the last election. They just had one election in Imo State. And I don't know if this had sailed through Supreme Court directly, I don't know what might have happened. But I don't know what he's praying for.
You know, I sometimes wonder what the problem is. You know, there was a lawyer was a guest on one of the programs here on TVC here, and he said, even when lawyers tell politicians that, lawyers in their heart know that this thing cannot fly, politicians will just say, okay, let's go ahead and do it. The fact is, if you look at this thing, even the time they filed what's it called now, the case, the time had elapsed. You understand? The whole thing, very annoying. The point is this. The point is this. Sometimes I wonder, is it that these lawyers, they know, actually, maybe because of pecuniary benefit and all of you know, how would you expect that this kind of case will fly at the Supreme Court? I mean, if it was vexatious to the
2019, no.
2019 matter. Now the man is even very close to finishing his tenure and he has got another tenure.
Looking for a consequential order. The meaning of that is
no, I know now. So the truth of the matter is the whole thing is a farce. It's fascia, and I think that beyond the court, awarding cost against the appellants, the time has come that they should begin to deal seriously with lawyers that go on wasting the court's time with cases like this. We must bring sanity to the sector. The whole thing is so annoying, it's so vexatious, as the Supreme Court judges said. Vexatious, frivolous, irritating. Even me reading about it, I'm totally irritated because it's just.
Julie, Mike Ozakume was fined 40 million naira by the Supreme Court to stop. As brilliant as Mike.
I hope he gets to pay.
Honestly.
I hope...
SAN.
Yes, I hope it can be made to pay. Because we've heard of the Supreme Court fining some lawyers, and those lawyers, actually big lawyers, ending up not paying. This is Nigeria.
And who goes after them for defaulting?
I don't know. I don't want to mention
but that fine is significant. 40 million naira.
Well, whether it is 1 naira or not, you must pay. It is when you pay that we can see that yes, you have been taught an exemplary lesson. Yes. Yeah, what if they don't pay, or they find a way to beg and the issue gets overtaken by event? No punishment in the instance has been handed down. You cannot say that because the Supreme Court rules that Uche Nwosu was
not valid.
No, that
double nomination.
Double nomination.
Yes.
Now, then, infer that the APC didn't have a candidate in an election that was conducted, and somebody won. Somebody won. That same person went to court. After he won, he was challenged in court, and the victory that he got was taken away from him and given to Uzodinma. The whole cycle of that litigation was exhausted. And Uzodinma became governor in 2020. Now, you are coming back in 2023 to say that, okay, based on what the Supreme Court said at that time, it means that, this Uzodinma should not have been governor. He has actually spent 4 years, is using 4 years meant for Ihedioha. But you forgot that this same Ihedioha was the person he defeated in the Supreme Court. Some people must think that those babas and mamas in the Supreme Court, that they are senseless people, that you can just walk up to them and ask them for all kinds of prayers and they will listen. The Supreme Court, for example, has not got the power to review its own judgment. But people go
And that's
in clear contradiction of the Constitution. They keep going there to say, okay, you gave this judgment the other day. Reconsider the judgment that you... Justice Amina Auje, who retired recently, she burst into tears over the fact that Olanipekun son, an old lawyer, Baba Afe Babala, came before them to say, okay, this judgment that you gave the other day, review it, give a contrary judgment. That's referring to what happened in Bayelsa. He wanted them to take a second look at the judgment and then give a fresh judgment. And the woman said, I never knew that a day like this could come. These elderly people like this, knowing that the Supreme Court's hands are tied, it cannot review its own judgment after it has been made. So, even if we are not to look at that, electoral litigations are by nature time-bound. That is what we were telling them when Atiku went abroad to waste his time. We were telling them that, look, that cycle had ended. You cannot, what you did not bring before the trial tribunal, you cannot introduce it at the Supreme Court. They say, they don't know what they are saying. He's a Tinubu slave. He's this, he's that. At the end of the day, was that not what the Supreme Court said? There is someone who suggested that we should set up a company to advise politicians before they go to court that how come everything you say is what usually happens in the court, when the court will give judgment, that we should actually be making money by giving them counseling so that they don't waste their money. But that is...
They like wasting their money. They love it.
The reason you cannot treat electoral litigation like normal civil cases is that time ceiling.
Okay.
You cannot bring up, once that time ceiling is exceeded, it is finished.
All right.
Olanipekun said after the Kano Bruaha, that Kano tribunal, that look, you cannot even do anything to that CTC because the time within which you can do anything about that matter is already...
Okay, let's go for this break. We'll be right back after this break. So, thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Angat. We're reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I still have Paul Dada and Babajide Kolade Utitoju in the studio. And we'll be talking about that Supreme Court judgment. And so painful. At the end of the day, Jide, we don't expect this to come from senior lawyers.
No. It's now looking like there's no difference between all of them. You know? Once the client is prepared to pay,
the price is right.
Yes. How can anybody even resolve that logjam? This man has spent 3 years already, 3 years plus, going to 4.
It's going to create another crisis altogether.
How do they go back? Which kind of Supreme Court will give that kind of judgment that they were expecting? That we are come.
Pull them into.
It's just after all these years. It's the same man that went before the court and lost.
My own is that there should be a way of dealing with this recklessness. Because if you look at it, the Supreme Court has a lot of cases.
Yes.
A lot of cases. It's not only election cases, so there are civil cases, there are criminal cases.
Yes.
And
It's just
Supreme
that
Court
one
has
court
to-
for everything.
Just one court, and then you are bringing this frivolity. And
every state has its own.
and when people that have genuine cases, the apex court is not able to attend to them. But people that have collected money from politicians, maybe because politicians have access to money easily, they have a lot of excess money. So they just give money to lawyers and all of that. There should be a way of checking it. I think people should be made scapegoats.
Politicians too are too optimistic.
Okay.
You should
Incredible.
have known, if the lawyer tries to convince you that, look, you can win this case. Let's try, we can win. You should know what cases you cannot win. This is what, because they are too politically greedy and power
Drunk.
power
Despe-
crazy,
desperation.
and they're desperate for power. They would think, if I say it can't work and it works. How many times has it worked? Remember former SSA domestic affairs to Obasanjo?
Yes.
Andrew
Andrew
Ba.
going before a court that dismissed his matter,
2007
Supreme Court, and telling the court to review
judgment.
his judgment. Consistently, they've been going. The former governor of Zamfara made the same application before review your case. They didn't answer. The Supreme Court has never had. The only time the Supreme Court can review its matter is if there is a clerical error in that judgment. They will review it. It can be the basis for a review. But the law does not permit them, after giving judgment, to go back and undo what they have done. No, it's not going to happen.
Can appropriate.
They can keep wasting their time.
Approbate and
It's not going to
reprobate. It's actually a mockery of the judiciary. You know, I just believe these people keep mocking the judiciary, and they have to nip that trend in the bud, because it keeps and the funny thing is they keep doing it, they keep failing.
They keep failing, but they don't.
But somebody will still try to take
stop.
it.
Because the politician will bring money.
Exactly.
If
Somebody,
it's their own money they are spending, you think they will be doing that?
Lie to the politician.
somebody will try it next year, next 2 years, 3 years. You know, if nothing is done to check the trend, it continues
People can go
indefinitely.
and file a matter in Birnin Kudu, an Anambra matter in Birnin Kudu.
Just because of the courts.
So they will give him judgment
Of
that
concurrent,
is that is insignificant, judgment that is useless. But he has collected money from the politician. He has achieved his aim.
All right.